Hello, welcome back. Going to do stage 2 of Combat for Noobs here. Well, up to now we've only used the very basic free sidewinder, and that's more than adequate to make good money. In the first episode I made about, I think it was 1,055,000 in the first hour, and I've been out for exactly 60 more minutes, and in the second trip I got nearly 1.8 million, and so that's pretty good money for just a basic ship that's not really much good for anything. But now we want to go to the next stage and get a better ship. We're going to go and get a Viper. Now there's no Vipers for sale here in Blarney, so we're going to have to move, and that involves a few jumps, and the basic sidewinder can't jump far enough to make it easy. So what we're going to do is a tiny little bit of outfitting to our sidewinder, and then use that to get to somewhere where we can buy the ship we want and then get the upgrades for it. So I've flown back to Akiyama Market. I don't know whether the other stations in Blarney have frameshift drives for sale, but I know this one does, so let's have a look there. So we go to Starport Services, outfitting, core internal, and now here's all the modules in a ship. The one we're after is the frameshift drive. As you can see, we've got a 2E loaned one. That's more or less the lowest grade of frameshift drive you can have. So if we just click on that, browse shop, what we're looking for is a nice 2A one. There it is, 160,000 credits. Buying options, exchange. So now we've got our first bought module. We can get that money back when we get to the place where we're going to buy our Viper. We can sell that and get our money back for it, so it didn't actually cost us anything, so we just almost borrowed that for the next thing. So now that we have that, we want to open our galaxy map, and again, I don't know all the places around here that sell Vipers, but the one I do know, not MkIII, it's LTT 15574. So we can type that into the search, LTT space 15574, enter. Oops, hang on. There it is. So we can open up the system map for that, and the station we want is Axelport, so we can navigate direct to that. So if we just go back, forgot to mention this last time, when you're navigating, especially if you're travelling some distance, if these lines are solid, that means you've got enough fuel to get there. But if, when you go on a big journey, the first few might be solid and then they're dotted. So the dotted ones means you haven't got the fuel for them. So that means you've either got to scoop some fuel before you get to the dotted ones, or you have to stop off at a station sometime and fill up. And if you're really going to travel, what you can do is just buy some extra fuel tanks and fill them up, and then when you get to the destination, sell them and change them back for what you had before. Okay, so we've got that now. Here we go. Exit. Launch. So let's get our pips off engines so we don't fly into anybody.
Ship released. Observe station regulations on exit.
So I'm using that dot on the screen to see when I'm level with the slot. Right,
landing gear retracted.
This is quite a busy port. There's a few ships about, so you have to be a little bit careful sometimes in coming out. So I can put my pips to the engines
Scan
now
detected.
and boost away. So this is the first stop on the route. Well, not stop, first point on the route.
Frameshift drive charging.
So with this 2A frameshift drive, there's only 2 jumps. With that 2E one, I think it was about 8 jumps. You'd have to go right round because you can't get enough distance to jump from the nearest
4, 3, 2,
systems.
1, engage.
And because it's 8 jumps, then you need fuel, so you've got to stop somewhere. So it probably takes about 20 minutes with the 2E frameshift drive, while with this 2A one, it's going to take about 5 minutes. So remembering to keep outside that yellow line with the dot. The system we want is hiding behind. There it is, LTT 15574. So I'm just watching the star. It's red at the moment. Now it's yellow, so we can probably jump. I'll just wait a little bit more. It's shrinking now.
Frameshift drive charging.
So you can see a little bit of smoke over the radar because we did heat up a little bit as we went close to the star, but we won't take any damage as long as you keep outside that yellow line.
4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
So LTT, or zero throttle, LTT 15574 is another one for good res farming, but there's no high res there. It's only hazardous and medium res, just called res. So, Haxel port. So I'm full throttle at the moment. So I'm just waiting till that countdown goes to 7 seconds. Then I'm going to plant it in the blue zone. We don't have to worry about any pirates because we're not carrying anything. If we're carrying cargo, we'd probably get interdicted. But that's the good thing about this bounty hunting, is that it's very safe and convenient because nobody's going to come after you. So I need to come in from this side. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Here we go. Now that planet is a long way away behind us. It's one with rings. So we're flying from it to Haxel Port so that we drop out at the side where the door is. And I've got that line straight already, so I've just got to try and keep it straight. It's got a bit curved the other way now. So I've just gone above it a bit so it goes straight. Now I can point it there. As long as I keep that throttle right in the middle of the blue zone, that'll stay on 6 or 7 seconds and I won't overshoot. Again, this is quite a busy port, so you're a bit careful coming in and out sometimes, so we need to keep to the speed limit. We are a million meters now. You can actually, we're there now. So when you get a million meters, you can just open the throttle a little bit to speed things up. So a single boost. Right now I'm going to take the pips off my engines.
DeLacy, Papa, Echo, Tango. You are now in Federation space. Follow all regulations before and after landing.
Request docking permission.
Okay, Commander. Make your way to landing pad 2-1.
And I'm aiming to come in sort of down the axis, just steering out a little bit. You can, sort of in a sidewinder, point straight in. Turn at the last moment. I prefer doing it this way. Just watch my speed. Yeah, the sidewinder does exactly 100 at maximum throttle when there's no pips to it, which is quite convenient. So number 21, there it is. Landing gear.
Landing gear deployed.
So starport services now. We can buy a shiny new ship.
Landing sequence completed. Ground crew have been dispatched.
But first...
Welcome to this federal facility, Commander. It's good to have you.
All right, thank you very much. Right, first we need to get our money back for that frame shift drive. So doing outfitting. There used to be a trick. If you bought a Sidewinder, you could strip all the stuff off it, sell it, and make a 16,000 credit profit, and then buy another one and just keep doing that. It took about, I don't know, 10 minutes each time, so you could get 16,000 every 10 minutes for nothing. I think they fixed that now. So here we go, core internal, and there's our frame shift drive. Browse shop. We're going to downgrade it back to the bottom one, which is a 2E. So we got our 16,000 whatever it was back. So all these things now, they're all free or the lowest grade you can get. So now we can sell the ship. So it's always a good idea at the beginning of the game or even later in the game to, when you want to get rid of a ship, strip everything off it that you can by selling everything that you can. I think even, can we, oh no, because everything's loaned on this one, but sell everything that you can sell and then downgrade everything else. And that way you actually get more money than you do if you just exchange the ship. So, we've done that. Now we're going to go to shipyard and find a nice shiny new Viper. Eagle, Hauler, Viper Mark III, that's the one we want. Not, I don't, can we get, yeah, not the Mark IV Viper. Even if you got more money, that one isn't as good for what we want as the Mark III. The Mark III is an excellent combat ship, especially for the beginning of the game. It's cheaper and it has the same firepower as the Mark IV, so and it's much more manoeuvrable, which is a real advantage when it comes to combat. So that's the one we want. So purchase options. We don't really want to store our current ship. We've finished with that now. Exchange current ship. That's the one. It should be the same because the other one was free. Cost of new ship. Store current ship. Part exchange on current ship. Oh. Which, yeah, we do actually get a bit of money back on that for some reason or other. So let's do that. Confirm. So saved a couple of thousands. Not too sure why. Right, now we want to outfit this. Now, you shouldn't really attempt to buy this one until you've got at least 2.5 million. 2.7 is better, which I think is exactly what we've got. Because what you want to do is go straight out and fit everything to the highest grade you can. So outfitting, we always start with the core internals. So first of all, the power plants. We want a lot more power than that. So browse shop, 3A is the one we want. That's the highest you can fit in this ship. So we're getting everything the highest that we can put in this ship. We've got enough money for it, we've got enough power for it. So buying options, exchange, get rid of the old one. Then thrusters, we want them to be the best. But I think they don't have 3A in this one. Oh yes they do. 3A, buying options, exchange. Frame shift drive, well, we're not going to be going far in this. I think we've got enough power for 3A. So we'll take that for now. We might have to downgrade that a bit later. Life support. Now, that takes a lot of power, and what the life support does, it gives you oxygen when you get your cockpit blown out. So we just need enough to get back to the station. So the lightest one is the 2D. The 2As give you more oxygen, last longer, but they're heavier. So 2D should be enough, because we're only ever going to, if we do get a cockpit blown out, we go back to the station. It only takes a couple of minutes from where, in Brani, so, because there's so many stations there. So we go for the 2D, which is the lightest one, and that gives us about 5 minutes. 7.3 minutes. That's more than enough time to get back to the station. And once you get back to the station, your oxygen's restored, and you can repair. So power distributor, we want the best we can get. Should be a 3A. And we got a 3A there. Buying options, exchange. And the sensors. Now, ideally you want the best sensors you can get, because now they affect how accurate your weapons are as well. But they take a lot of power. So we're going to go for the lightest for now, the 3D. They're adequate. But if we had more power left over at the end, it might be worth upgrading those to C or A. We'll have a look. Fuel tank, we don't worry about that. That's enough fuel to get to where we're going. And you can't change that anyway. You can only add fuel tanks in the optionals. We won't do that just yet. So hard points, now that's the weapons. You see we've just got 2 low-grade pulse lasers. They're the same ones as we had on the Sidewinder, but now we can get some twice as powerful. So pulse lasers. Oh, have we got any here? Yes. I think, yep, 2F pulse lasers. These are the gimbaled ones, so the same as what you had before, but they're more powerful. Don't bother with the turreted ones. It sounds like a good idea, but you don't really have enough power for those. And fixed ones, they're better when you're good at this sort of thing, because they only fire where you're pointing your ship, while as these ones, they follow the target, as long as it's within the centre of your sort of scanner area. Your weapons are pointed to them and shoot them all the time. So you get a little bit more damage with these ones, but these ones are better for noobs. So that's what we want. And it's the same for the others. We just fill it all up. I mean, after a bit, you can play with these different weapons. It's quite good fun trying them out, plasma and things like that. But the big advantage of these pulse lasers is that they don't need any ammo, so you can stay out there for hours, while as when you've got plasma and cannons and stuff like that, you have to keep going back for ammo, which wastes a bit of time, so you can't earn as much money. But they're more fun, the other weapons. So it's 2 small pulse lasers now, just to fill these ones up. That's the gimbaled one. And another one here. So we've got 4 pulse lasers now. That's enough. Then utility mounts. What's handy is some chaff. When you fire the chaff, anybody that's using gimbaled weapons on you, it disrupts them a bit. So we'll buy one of those. It can buy you a little bit of time when you're under fire, especially when you're running away. You can use it in combat as well. Better, I use it mainly for running away. So what else have we got here? So we've got 1 spare mount. We could have point defense. That's defense against missiles. Oh, no, sorry, we need kill warrant scanner. That's very important. What a kill warrant scanner does, it gets us extra money in our bounties. So you get, I won't bore you with all the details, you get about 30% extra if you use a kill warrant scanner. So that's money for nothing. So that's what you want. Now, they're very power hungry. The C, what the difference between them is the range, how far you can start scanning. So we'll take that one, and the C. There's a nice compromise between range, power, and everything. They all get the same money, so it doesn't make a difference. Now as we buy each thing, you can see our power plant gives 12 megawatts of power, and as we buy all these things it starts to use them, so you'll see these things creeping up. Now there's the maximum 12, we're already at 10.09, we haven't finished yet. So now we're going to do the optional internal. Now interestingly, the shield generator is optional, and at the moment we've got the lowest grade one that can fit in this ship. So it's 3E, we want a 3A. That's the strongest one. I don't know whether they've got it here. I know there's something we can't get here. Shield generators. But they do change. Yes, we've got a 3A, so we've got everything this one. Now if you look, we're getting very close to the power. So if we'd gone for an A, what do we call it, scanner, the kill warrant scanner, we'd be over now, so we'd have to shut something down. So basic discovery, and these things, you can keep it or get rid of them. You know, I tend to get rid of the things I don't need, then I know what I've got. So I start at the top. We don't need a cargo wrap for now because we're not going to be carrying anything. So I just sell that. We've got the shield generator, empty, basic discovery. I'm going to sell it because it's get 1,000 credits. Planetary, we're not going to any planets for now, so I might as well get rid of that. I don't think... sometimes you gain a bit of weight, but that's it. So I think we leave the other ones empty. There are some things. I'm just looking at what we've got. You can put a docking computer in if you really struggle to land on the pad. There's no weight penalty for the docking computer, so you can do that. Fuel scoops if you're going to be travelling from place to place. Quite good. These limpets and things, they're all used for collecting stuff, mining, refineries for mining. Shield cell banks, they can be useful. This is for exploring. We got the shield generator. The shield cell banks, what they do is they give a little bit of extra charge to your shields when they've gone down. But they take quite a bit of power, and we're on a limit for power now. So I think we'll just leave that. And you've got to be quick. And in a ship this size, it makes very little difference, to be honest. You either get pounded or you don't. And if you do, you know, by the time you've got your shield cell banks charging up, you're going to be killed anyway. So I wouldn't bother with those at this stage. On the bigger ships, they're one of the most important things you can have now. So that's it. We're ready to go. Now, one last thing. We now got to just tell the system what we want to do with all these things. So it'll tell us you need to set fire groups. So if we just come to the panel on this side, to modules. So let's do fire groups first of all. Right, so you'll notice that we've got these numbers here. So I'm going to put all the pulse lasers in the first fire group. That just means that when you pull the trigger, they'll all go off. So you could split them one, you know, you can move things around, but if you had missiles, often, you know, you want them in a different fire group. So the kill warrant scanner, we want in on the secondary fire button. So you've got the main fire button, which is the trigger, the normal trigger for shooting, and by pressing this twice, it goes to number 2. Now chaff, I assign to a specific button. You can have it on the keyboard, on your controller, whatever that, rather than in these fire groups. So I've got a button on my joystick. When I press it, the chaff goes off, and I know that's always the same, so I know what I'm doing with that. But you can assign it in the options to either a fire group or to any button. So that's it with the fire group. So the main trigger makes all the pulse lasers go off, and when I press the other trigger, the kill warrant scanner goes off. Now here's a little trick. On some controllers like the X52, the Cytec X52, X55 and all that series, you get some buttons and sliders and rotational knobs that stay on when you put them in the on position. So if you assign the secondary fire button to one of those, then you can switch the kill warrant scanner on and leave it on. You don't have to keep pulling any triggers each time you want to watch it, to use it, and that's a massive advantage, because basically you come into the res and just switch it on and forget about it, and then you start getting the extra money for nothing. But otherwise you have to keep pulling the trigger to set it off, and you're trying to do that while you're doing other things. So much better to have it on group 2 and on a button that you can leave switched on. I've never tried it, but you might be able to assign it to the minus button on the extreme right of your keyboard, and then use a peg. So as soon as you drop in the res, just put a peg on that button to hold it down all the time, and then when you leave the res, take it off. That might work, but you want a button that stays on all the time if you can. Right, so now we're going to do a little bit of power management. Now, one thing that's always useful is we're not going to be carrying any cargo, and if you look, it's using 5% of the power. So by pressing that twice, it switches it off. See, it's not on the left-hand side, there's not a dot in that little pair of brackets. So that's offline now. What that means is that the power distributor isn't feeding it with power all the time, and the power plant's not got to provide it. That makes you run a little bit cooler. Now, when you're using lasers, especially the beam lasers, you heat up a lot, and you'll see it. You've overheated, so you have to stop firing. But by switching things off that you don't need, you can save a bit of power, save a little bit of overheating. So it's always worthwhile. So now we're going to set priorities to all these modules we've got. We didn't bother on the basic Sidewinder because we weren't counting on being shot at. As you saw in the 2 sessions I didn't get shot once. They're not bothered with us. But now we're going to start shooting a few preemptive strikes. We will get shot at, so we need to get these things right. Now, some things are dead important. You need to have the highest priority, and so thrusters is one of them. Shield generator is another. You want to keep that on all the time. Kill warrant scanner, if you lose that, it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to make that priority 3. Pulse lasers, I always make all my weapons priority 2. The cargo hatch can go priority 3. We're not going to actually use it. I could even make it priority 4. Because I don't care if that gets blown out. It's nothing for us. Power distributor, that has to be on all the time. So priority 1. Pulse lasers, another weapon. Frame shift drive. So you don't need that when you're fighting. You could make it priority 3, and what that does, that allows you to use a little bit more power for your weapons. I could get a couple of beam lasers and go over the 100%. And what will happen is that would be the first thing that goes offline, along with the cargo hatch, which is already off, and that saves you some power, and you can still use power for everything. If you had everything equal priority and you go 1% over the power, then everything goes off because it doesn't know which one to switch off, so it switches them all off. So by changing these priorities, it's which ones go off. But also, the lower the priority, if I'm told right, the more chance they've got of taking damage when you're under fire or crash out or whatever thing like that. So the important things you want to keep highest priority. So life support, that's another one. You don't want to lose that. Pulse laser, well, it doesn't matter about that. So priority 2. Sensors, you want them all the time. Chaff, that's even less than the pulse lasers, so we'll leave that at number 3. And the cockpit canopy, we can't change those. So we just set some priority. It's not important, but generally the life important things, or the things that's really essential to keep your ship going, you should have priority 1. Then maybe weapons priority 2, and then other stuff priority 3 or more. So that's it. So we've done all our outfitting. Now what we're going to do is go back to Brani and see if we can do something with this ship. So I'll see you down there.